Cool. All right, here we go. We'll get right into this here. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Rat's Nest here. We're sitting here today with Sam Hanus.
Hello.
And if you guys don't remember, I'm Jesse.
And I'm Sean.
Here, part of Nerd Rat Media. We do a lot of creative stuff, and we've been doing these podcasts to kind of talk to people that are doing creative stuff that we know and kind of get into how we know each other. And that's kind of what we're going to get in today on bringing Sam on board. Just as a quick reminder on what we're trying to do, if you have any suggestions on what we'd like to talk about on this podcast, we're trying to focus on film-based commercial work sort of stuff that we're trying to do, which is going to lead into us doing, various interviews, various setups with these live feeds. And then on top of that, we're trying to create a way for you guys to have memberships, be able to see exclusive stuff. That's kind of the big goal here down the road. So, but without going into that too much, we are here with a special guest today, and let's talk about it. So, Sam, say hi, Sam.
Hi.
We talked about her a whole bunch on a couple of these other podcasts, and she happened to be here this week, and we're going to get her on the cast here. And we just kind of want to talk about what you've been up to, what you do in this world, and how we've all kind of met each other and how we're all kind of helping each other survive out there, So, Sam, Sean and I started last time by talking about how we got into video and film. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it really comes down to the first time I was exposed to video production at the lowest level was in the 90s through home video cameras. My parents had, the home video camera and just filming the little kids growing up, like, hey, sing the ABCs, say something funny.
Was it a shoulder one or was it like one of the smaller guys?
It was one of the smaller ones, but still about this big. The old JVC. Yeah.
What was it recording onto at the time?
Tape. Yeah, like the, whatever they were
tape,
talking
guys.
Yep, on tape. And there's video footage of me at 2 or 3 years old where my mom's trying to get me to do something. And I'm like, can I look in there? I want to look in the eyepiece. I just was really drawn to, I really like watching television and TV, and that was just like a tiny little TV inside of there, and I wanted to look at it. Yeah. So from the very beginning, I was kind of behind the camera, and I used to steal it and film other things like family Christmases and stuff. And just really liked it. And then bring it onto the VCR and editing on VCR.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
What was the next steps in that process?
Yeah, I was obsessed with just our home videotapes, watching back Christmas. My family's kind of big and was really funny, and I just was entertained by our own family home videos and got into editing that way. On VCRs, and that translated into school projects in elementary and middle school.
Before you go into that too, did you make any films or anything with the like actual films, or was it just a lot of practice editing or anything like that?
Yeah, sometimes my sister and I and a friend of mine would just make like goofy movies. One of them was a horror film about these little keychains we used to get. There was like fuzzy little animals. We called it Fuzzy Buddies, but it was like a horror film. Like we kept finding them, and I don't know, stupid stuff.
Could you find any of your older stuff online?
Oh, I have it all. Well, it's not. Maybe it's not online, but I have it all digitized. Okay. I spent the past couple years digitizing all of our home videotapes, so I have it a lot of it accessible.
Yeah, I think I might have seen in the last couple of years you putting up like stories that you're doing like quick little edits of you like out in the yard at the fame.
Yep.
Totally. Like early 90s,
yeah.
Yeah, we were alive in the 80s and 90s, guys.
Yeah,
Sean was in the 80s. But
oh, yeah, the 1900s.
You were born in the 1900s?
Early 1900s.
Weird. Yeah.
Yeah, right? Well, that's cool. Yeah, so talk about studio stuff and get into that part of it in school. And
so like in school, if you read a book and you have to do a book report and stand up and read something or make a little, like on those poster boards, I asked the teacher if I'd be able to make a video instead. And they were like, yeah, I guess, we have one of those wheel out, Bill Nye Science Guy carts that are strapped down on the cart. And they're like, I don't see why not. Nobody else was doing it. And the class seemed to like it because, you wheel that thing out, shut the lights off. Everyone's like, yeah, no matter what it is. And so, other people would be up there reading their report, but I had a video. And so that was super fun. It was like history reports. We used to do stuff like art history stuff, science projects.
Did you get nervous or anything in front of the class? Was this like something you just loved to show the class? Or do you remember those moments in the beginning of you being creative? Were you excited? Were you nervous? Like watching the whole class watch your film?
I think I did it because I was more nervous doing a stand-up report. Yeah. So I'd rather sit in the dark in the back and watch a film.
I wish I
not
knew
nervous.
that.
Way less nervous.
I hated doing
It just didn't matter what you would do. It's everyone likes watching a little thing. It's cool. Yeah.
Oh yeah, too.
And they were like 2 minutes long, so it wasn't long, but
That was the start of the documentary career.
yeah.
Well, and also too, it's just like a flashback to that and that time period, because I was doing stuff in that time period too. We didn't have the cell phones. We didn't have access to absolutely everything. So whenever you need to get a video to show in front of a classroom, there is quite a process from getting it from a camera that you had to find onto a VHS to then play in a VCR that then played on a TV that they rolled in.
Right.
Wasn't a computer, wasn't just streaming or pulling it up on the internet. Like,
Right. And editing, as you know, on a VCR is ridiculous. You like hit record, stop, rewind it, fast forward to get it the way you want. So super limited, but
yeah,
but it was doable. But you're right, total process to get it to a tape that you bring to school.
So at what point in the school career did you have access to like the school's gear? Or this was before school's gear you were doing this. Then you got into that?
Yeah, in middle school, our school started like one of those inner news, like a news show.
Like the in school like newscast?
Yeah, it was in middle school, and it was just, and it was kind of, yeah, exactly. It wasn't often. It was like once a week, and it was kind of like this. You have to set it up in this special room.
Yeah.
But like, you bring it all in and just report on whatever. And I signed up for that immediately. Just really liked it. Oh, and I forgot, when I was in second grade, my second grade class got to do a big project at the local public access station.
Oh, cool.
And it was like The Price is Right, like a spoof as second graders. And so for like 6 months, we all practiced being the host, being a contestant, and then being on the crew. And so we show up to the station, and I got really bit by the bug, I guess. You know, as soon as the lights go off in the studio lights come on, you're operating the camera. I was like hooked.
So
Fun.
just to slide in, is this where we have this notorious picture?
Yes.
We have Sam on camera, and I'm hoping we can
Sam on-
pop
yeah.
Sam on camera.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can pop that up there if you can send it over to us. But
Yeah.
there's like this famous picture amongst all of us where you like this big, like on
Yeah,
the,
I was like 8 years old, little frilly socks, a child holding the camera sticks from like way down here. This operating camera in 1997, I believe it was.
And did you do like an echo of it recently or in the last couple of years, like 2017? Did you go?
Where I
Yeah, you redid it, right?
Yeah, so
Just as the actual station.
it was when I was in college. When I was going to college, I ended up getting a job at that same station.
That's what it is.
Yeah, and noticed in the studio it appears that it's the same camera, like they'd never updated their
We're gonna
gear.
do a side by side. You guys should be the judge on that.
Yeah, maybe it's a little different, but it looks pretty damn similar.
Similar. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And so whenever you got into that production stuff in high school and started doing more towards the TV station career, where was your mind at? Were you driven to do journalism stuff? Like when you got into that vein, what was the goal?
Yeah, kind of. So yeah, in high school, there was a dedicated a daily like news show just within the school. It was second hour for the first 10 minutes. We were live. And so I signed up for that.
Oh, it was live
Only juniors and seniors could be in it. So as I went through high school, I was watching it. And the people on the news show was called Wake Up West Tonka. They were like celebrities in the school. Like the news anchors would be like, oh my God, there they are. I was like, I want to be in that.
They see.
It was super fun. And then within that, what I really liked was the little side edits that they would do. Like, hey, Christmas is coming up. Here are some 10 things you can do during Christmas break. Like stuff like that. And then they would add humor to it. So it's like reporting meets comedy. I was really drawn to because I'm big into comedy, sketch comedy, pretty lighthearted stuff.
Yeah.
And so all of that between the studio, having little side edit projects to work on, I was just super drawn to it. And I still do it today. It's so fun.
As a side note, because I've every once in a while I'll get a homie of mine from that time period and we do something. Do you ever work with anybody from the old, like you have like friends from the old time or just see them and they're still doing that stuff? Or are you one of the few that's doing it?
Not from high school necessarily. Actually, a buddy of mine that was in announcements, we loved it. We were always paired as anchors together. We were this like comedy duo.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
were voted class clowns because of it. he's a musician, and so I did a music video for them a couple of years ago, like from high school. And it was like super goofy and weird, and it totally brought us back to high school and our dumb sense of humor.
You're like, you actually can only use the gear at the school to shoot this video, just to like, give it a vibe.
At the time, yeah, we were borrowing, and then those were like mini DV tape.
Oh yeah,
cameras.
We were talking about that the last time, mini DV, and then the big ones you got was like the DV, like compacts that you put into like the edit machine at this TV station.
Yep.
Oh man,
that was when like iMovie started getting popular, so we were editing on like iMovie, like old Macs.
Old Macs, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So now we're out of high school, stuff like that. You're like chasing this career in journalism specifically.
Not necessarily. I didn't know what I wanted to do because I graduated 2007. I just wasn't really university material. And so I took a year off trying to think of like what I wanted to do. I wanted it to do something to do with video production. I didn't really want to work in the news. So I've not necessarily journalism. I didn't want to shoot, all I could think of at the time, 2008, sports or news. And this was before equipment kind of got a little more accessible. Like when the 5D Mark II came out, that was blew the door open.
Groundbreaking for all of us.
Yeah, and so that was before that. So I had no idea, and my family, as supportive as they are, they're like, what career is this? Like, what can you even do with that if you don't want to do news or sports?
Right.
And I didn't know yet, but I still hung on to the idea that I wanted to do something with it. Eventually, a year later, I found a technical college that offered a video program. It's Hennepin Technical College. It was a 2-year degree. It was affordable, and it was all hands-on video stuff in the studio, making edits, and it was so much fun. And while I went to school there, I got the job at the TV station that I had done the thing in 2nd grade. And so I was just like 100% video production all the time for like 2 years.
See, it's a lifelong dedication.
And I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah. Real quick though, as a pause point, do we have anything going on in the chat right now?
I was just responding to Bunk Bed.
Nice. Any questions? I can't see.
Yeah, he said he saw that you're wearing a shirt that says Fort Collins on it. Are you guys located in Colorado?
Oh yeah, well,
he is also.
Well, yeah. Real quick, if you're paying attention to that, we are out of Fort Collins right now. We're literally in Fort Collins, Colorado.
Right now,
we're there right now, north town, if you will, northwest, if you will. So yeah, we're here. We do a lot of stuff in this area, and that's kind of the point, is that there's a lot of talent here locally. So. Yeah, reach out to us. Find we're Nerd Rat on Instagram, stuff like that. There's also Horsetooth Fest. You got Listo Pictures and Sean.
Sounds cool too.
Sean, if you want to like follow,
I do some stuff then.
Yeah, but yeah. Anyways, let's get back on track. I just want to make sure we had anything else going on there.
Yeah.
So now that you've kind of figured out, you've got the job that you've kind of went to school for, but you kind of got out of it. What happened next? Like, where are we going now? We're still in Minnesota at this point?
Yeah, so it was 2009 and 2010, full-time college. Learned a lot there, met some lifelong friends there. And a couple of them still do video production work. And still to this day, I reach out and hit him up when I'm in the area, and he helps me on shoots sometimes too. We won a state competition that brought us to an international competition once. It was called Skills USA. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I haven't.
It's basically like a trade school competition.
You heard of this?
Well, we did a video. Andy and I did a video that had that tied into one of the aspects of like, it was like a trade. When we did that like run of like community colleges and stuff like that, videos. They talked about Skills USA, but don't really know much about it. But
oh, cool.
That was part of it. Okay.
Yeah, it was. I didn't really know much about it either.
What'd you do?
And our professor was like, "Hey, does anyone want to be a team?" It's almost like a film race. What it was to get qualified, and it was like, "Okay, you're gonna get dropped off at this one. It was a nature center. Go shoot like a promo for this, and then it'll be judged, and whoever wins goes to the national competition." And so we won out of like. I don't know if there wasn't a ton of teams. There was like 6 teams, but we won. And we got a paid trip to go to Kansas City where like the nationals was held. But there was like a carpentry competition, a cooking competition, like some sort of welding thing, like all sorts of different programs that are in colleges. And ours was video production. And really, really sadly, we did our thing. Again, it was like, okay, each of the teams is going to go to this part of the city and do like a promo about this particular like shopping and dining area. And you have like 24 hours to do it. And we did it. We submitted our thing, but that was when MP4 versus MOV was not playing on each other's computers. So we were Mac people. Like we brought a tower with us. We edited them. We exported an MOV, but they were being played on
like a PC.
Like a PC. And so it didn't play. And so we saw everybody's pieces and ours never showed. And we saw them and we're like, we probably would have won. So I hate to say it, but like ours was better. And then we didn't even get played. And so we were like, dang, we came all the way out here.
All the way to beautiful Kansas City.
Such a beautiful place. I got a lot of friends in Kansas City. I don't know if they'd say it's beautiful, but
it's Kansas City, Missouri. If that makes it. It was pretty cool. It was a good time.
That's dope though. So you have those kind of competitions when you're younger, especially when you don't have access to gear and you're able to get out there. It's like it's so wild. I mean, nowadays you can basically put up a video on a streaming service and you could possibly go. Or a streaming service, a social media site, and go viral. Back then, it was just
accident.
Most of the time, it's like, who can you get into a room to watch this? And then that's the audience that saw it. Like, that was it. There's no like, oh, right now we'll be on YouTube next week.
Yeah.
Something like that, you know? Not quite yet.
I want to add to that, though. I guess the college thing was great. Lots of experiences, lots of silly failures to this day. Like, I'm never doing that again.
Right.
One of my very first, at the TV station, I convinced them. I was just a master control technician, which basically meant I sat in a closet and made sure that DVDs would kick off, like what they would play. It was mostly about city councils and community events. There was 4 channels, and I was basically monitoring them and making sure that they kicked off. But I wanted to do editing and video production, so I convinced them to give me like little assignments. And my very first one that I was paid to do, like maybe like $10 an hour, was like the local, like a local quilting club. So, like I wasn't
Go to the
and so I go and I bring the studio equipment. It's only like a mile up the road from where I'm going.
For sure.
And I got everything set up. I picked a couple of ladies to interview. And I have them sit down and I'm ready to record, to find out I did not have a tape in the camera and I did not bring one with me. And that's the last time I ever forgot any EP cards because I was so nervous. It was my first one. I was by myself. I pretended to hit record and I interviewed her anyway. Oh my God. And then I left. I was like, I'll be right back. And then I went back and got tapes and continued and just pretended that didn't happen. And
by the way, can you say your name again?
I just didn't interview her again.
So she didn't make the cut.
Nobody knew.
It's hard. We've all had to. Oh my God, so many friggin' times.
But at least it was the first one I ever did.
Right?
You know,
that was
never forgotten cards ever since.
Whip you up a little bit.
Yeah.
So does that mean you continued doing more after that? Was that like, did they see your work and did you?
Yeah, it was like being aired, and I had to kind of prove to the station manager that this is fun and it's nice to have a little bonus content instead of just showing city council meetings all the time. That actually technically was my first paid video production gig, was filming city council meetings.
So I got a question for you then. What happened to me whenever I was doing video production, stuff like that, is I got put on cam op because I'd done it in college, and I didn't quite understand the IA piece, if you will, of like designing a shot fully, because no one knew what they were teaching me. I was learning everything from scratch. And there's a guy named Gary Headley, who, you know, rest in peace. He died in his like mid-50s recently, but he was like a legend where I grew up in the TV station, and he literally almost slapped me into being a cinematographer for a time, because he's like, I'm gonna take you out to the falls we had at the time, and I'm gonna have you set up a camera. And he just said, set it up. And I'm like, all right. And I set up this big, bulky camera for a shot. And he goes, all right, now I'm going to teach you about depth perception. And he literally like put something in the foreground and racked to something. In that moment, I remember seeing that going, and it like literally, it clicked. Like, this is videography at its finest, not just getting a shot. Was there a time period during this process that clicking moment where you're like, I get this? Like, when did that happen for you? Did it happen during this time period?
As far as making like edits? intentional
Or-
like filmmaking.
More like understanding what it means to get a good shot, or making a good video. Like it was something I call it the Sam shot. It's that 3/4 floater shot.
Yeah, you know the one.
Yeah. Like when did it land for you? You're like, oh, this is going to be good. Like, do you remember that moment ever? Like when your brain realized how a camera and the shots work. Do you remember that moment, Sean, too?
Yeah. I mean, I was in videography class. And I just kind of ended up being the one behind the camera because no one else really wanted to. But yeah, just coming up with those really crazy random shots and being like super creative because that was like my first time really ever running a camera. I did some stuff like you were saying, like having the family cam. I remember actually the first time we came to Colorado, I was blown away by like the moths that like were congregating outside of our cabin or whatever we're staying at. And I made a home video of me like comparing my hand against like the size of the moths. And that was like the first time I ever ran a camera. But yeah, there are those moments where you're like, oh yeah, you can like do some really cool things. Like I don't know if I have a copy of my first short film in high school, but we did some really random shots. Like actually Justin Young, like walking down the stairs, and I laid on the stairs, and as he walked over me, I like panned over it, so you like looking up his like short pants, like his boxers, and like you're like, it's like a terrible angle. Like I think like moments like that were like the first ones where like
moving camera and seeing like first music videos, those moments of doing that. Do you have a moment like that, Sam?
As far as just fun storytelling stuff, back in high school for the fun side ones, ours was like the Christmas video send off. It wasn't about like things to do or like, it was just silly. We made it just goofy thing, and it was too long. Like the whole
like, you guys
announcement they did, but they made us. It was like 10 minutes long, and that's how long the announcements is. And so they were like, we can't show this. I'm like, but we worked so hard on it. We did this whole thing, and it was kind of like a Reservoir Dogs spoof. Cool. It was about like me and my friend Jeff. We noticed my friend's really bumming out. We're like, but it's Christmas. You should be stoked. And we like captured her and like, we did this whole like Reservoir Dogs thing and that was so much fun. But then later, it wasn't until I got a 5D Mark II, like years after it had come out, and I had lenses that actually reflected depth perception, because those home video cameras, you can't really see it. But until I actually had like my own glass is when I could see it, just like testing it, just like rack focusing, figuring out depth and light.
What was that first time
having iris for the first time?
Yeah.
Also like
being able to get that 1.8 for the first time, being like, oh, that's cinematography.
And it was a 1.8. It was an 85 millimeter. The 85 1.8 is before I drew the
so beautiful.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Right. Like going back to what you're saying, like making things too long too. That first short film. We basically like a way.
Didn't want to cut any shots. Like every shot's amazing. Everything's the entire take. The entire take was perfect.
The assignment was take like a fairy tale and make your own like adaptation of it. So it's like a way to like develop your like a story around a pre-existing story. And so we did Sleeping Beauty, and our thing was our Sleeping Beauty character gets into WoW and becomes like spellbound until he goes into a coma. And then this girl that he had a crush on has to kiss him to wake him up or whatever. It was 17 and a half minutes.
Tight 3 minutes, could have sold it.
And we never told
let's just show
our teacher. Yeah. It was like 8 minutes was the max. And we showed up with this thing that's like easily double.
You just played
it. Yeah. He's like, just looking at you like, keep it going. It's almost done. It's almost done. They're like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, well, we all did stuff like that too. And as an echo of that is like, I used to do production, and the teachers would get furious because they were supposed to be 10 minutes, and it was for like a seminar class. And the seminar was like 45 minutes. And I'd get to the point where I started making like short films that were like 30 minutes long. And just because it's like a reason to do something creative, no one really studied. They just wanted to watch something cool. And yeah, you started making these like weird random, like there's a cop arresting like a fake deer that people hunted. Like it was insane. So I'm glad that all three of us were just so creative that the school had to like pump the brakes. Like, listen,
Stop.
There's a limit.
these kids are not going to
There are
learn
other
anything.
kids in
Yes, there are other kids in the school, and you're distracting all of them.
Yeah.
They're not learning anything.
Yeah.
Oh man, good times and stuff. Hey guys, we got so much more to talk about. Sam, and I can't speak today, but we're gonna keep talking to her. Stay tuned for part 2. Be sure to like and subscribe to what we're doing here. Follow Sam. She's on Loose Stone Pictures. She's got all kinds of stuff. She's on Instagram. She went there.
Everything will be linked below too.
Yeah, everything will be linked below. Follow her. She's awesome. You basically get all the entertainment you want from her if you want. But stay tuned, guys. Anything else you want to add to that?
No, I like your extra.
Cool.
We'll
All right.
cut there.
Cut there.